I'm actually working on that right now, Dimebag. I had to download an application called Rufus to create a bootable USB using the GPT partition scheme for UEFI, and the large FAT32 file system. My current USB bootable Windows 7 was using NTFS file system instead of FAT32, and it was using MBR partition scheme instead of GPT, and it was not partitioned to be for UEFI. It was partitioned to be for BIOS. So my UEFI new motherboard could not boot Windows from that bootable USB. And that's why it wasn't even trying to run Windows, and it didn't even have the bootable USB as being a selectable boot device in the boot options dialog windows, which gave me no clue as to why it wouldn't do anything. It gave me no errors, no nothing, just disregarded anything. And the same thing applied to my bootable DVD Windows copy. So after a ton of research, I figured out the difference between BIOS and UEFI and how to create a bootable UEFI version Windows 7 USB drive. Classic mistake, huh? Well, I'm not used to using modern hardware. I'm used to hardware that runs BIOS. Old school, blue screened BIOS. None of this UEFI fancy smanchy BS. Yeah, I guess it was time for an upgrade. I don't think I'm going to get to work on the CNC machine today. Once again, I'm blown away by just how complicated this new PC build ended up being because of all these weird compatibility issues where I'm mixing old with new. Mixing a very old copy of Windows 7 with a brand new computer which is expecting Windows 10. None of these issues would be coming up if I was using a modern operating system. And same thing with getting it all running. There's a lot of confusion because I'm using a very ancient power supply on a brand new computer. What happened? When you go into the BIOS on the new computer, it still doesn't recognize my USB, which is UEFI, and it's GPT, and I followed all the directions. It's still, I mean, you can see it in the USB devices, but it's not listed on the boot menu. So I'm calling it that the BIOS needs to be updated, and maybe it's malfunctioning because it's not compatible with the video card. So I don't really know, but the BIOS is definitely screwed. It's not working properly. This should not be happening. So I'm going to try to flash the BIOS now. If I press F12, which is the boot menu command on the title screen, oh, it's doing something different. Oh, Windows is loading files. Suddenly it's working? What? So I had a bad BIOS. Windows is loading files. It's suddenly magically working. The old BIOS would not do this. Everything's working. Oh my gosh, I needed a... Wow. Unbelievable. It's working now. Starting Windows. Ah! We did it! Yes! Woohoo! Ah! Oh! Somehow, it magically works. It did not work before. I can promise you that. Oh, everything is back. Unbelievable, man. We're in there now. That's all I needed. Unbelievable. What a mess. Load driver. A required CD/DVD drive device is missing. If you have a driver, floppy disk, CD, DVD, or USB flash drive, please insert it now. Required CD/DVD drive device driver is missing. Okay. It's asking me for a CD/DVD device driver. I'm just gonna unplug the DVD player I put in there when I was in the troubleshooting stage. I don't need that in there. If I unplug that, then turn this bad boy back on. It should not be asking me for that then. Okay. Okay, Windows is loading files. It's back in that. Hopefully it won't ask for anything about a CD/DVD driver because we're not going to have a CD/DVD attached at all. Maybe I celebrated too early. I hope that error doesn't pop up again. It says starting Windows, so we're in the process here. Black screen, Windows 7. Click next. Okay. Alt N for next. Alt I for install now. Setup is starting. Loading. I'm using Alt keys because I don't have my mouse plugged into this computer. Oh gosh, it's doing it again? Load driver required CD/DVD device driver is missing. Okay. It's saying to unplug the USB drive and plug it back in during some portion of the install process. It's saying that it could be that or a couple other things, but the main one is just to unplug. Also, it could be that it's in a USB 3.0 port, they said. I'm trying it with USB and USB 2.0 port this time. Alright, it says starting Windows. Setup is starting. Install now. Setup is starting. Okay, again with the... Alright, it's doing a reboot. Okay, Windows is loading files. Windows is loading files. As soon as possible, we want to unplug this thing. Windows is loading files. Alright, I'm going to unplug it. Now I'll click next. Install now with it unplugged. Setup is starting. Nope, still get it. Oh gosh. I'm using my phone as a monitor now. So I can see my main computer rather than swapping the monitor every frickin' time. I wish I had a monitor for the PC I'm trying to work on and one for the PC I'm streaming from and debugging on and Googling on. But I only have one monitor because my other monitor's broke. Says try to fix the settings in BIOS. So we're going to try that now. If your BIOS has any settings for USB 3.0 support during startup, turn it to auto or disable. What am I doing? I'm trying to now download the gigabyte Windows USB installation tool. That will take away my bug with trying to install Windows 7 onto a UEFI BIOS. Okay, so I'm slipstreaming onto my bootable... Wait, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm slipstreaming a USB driver for my motherboard onto my Windows 7 ISO, I guess. Sort of. Something like this. After using Rufus to install a GPT UEFI compatible FAT32 Windows 7 ISO onto your bootable USB, you will next need to download a Windows USB installation tool from your motherboard manufacturer's utilities download page. You then unzip this tool and run its exe, which will prompt you to select your bootable USB with Windows 7 on it. It will then package itself as a bootable USB 3.0/3.1 hotfix driver install, so that during the Windows 7 install, it will not complain when it sees USB 3.0/3.1 slots on your motherboard and doesn't recognize that hardware, in which case it gives a error pop-up asking for a required CD DVD device driver. So this slipstreaming of the USB 3.0 drivers hotfix will solve that error pop-up from happening during the Windows 7 install process. Okay, so now that we have that, I can take out my USB and put it back into my new PC and put my monitor plug back into the new PC. And now my USB is going to let Windows know that USB 3.0 is a thing. Okay. So Windows isn't going to freak out and ask for a required DVD driver. That's what's going to be the difference here. And if that bug's taken out, then boom, we get to install Windows. We're off to the races. Everything's fine. And it's not a bricked computer mailbox. I will have successfully installed Windows on the new PC, and then all I have to do is swap the video card from my old PC to the new one, because the old PC is going to get sold and it doesn't need the nice video card, and then we'll be good. Okay. Setup is starting. It came back. It came back. Okay, it came back. It didn't work. Alright, we're back to the drawing board then. We're back to the drawing board, boys. That failed. Okay. Let's hop back on the Rufus. Let's begin this from the beginning, from the top. Where's Rufus? Not showing up. Downloads. Rufus. Run. Alright, so we're re-downloading and installing Windows 7 onto our USB using Rufus. Then we're going to reattempt installation of Windows Image Tool. Okay, so I downloaded Gigabyte Windows USB installation tool. The folder's name, once you download it, is Windows Image Tool. I don't know why they named the folder that. They should have named the folder Gigabyte Windows USB installation tool. I don't get it. But anyways, on the Gigabyte Utilities website, like page 20, is finally listed Windows USB installation tool. You have to go through a million things under desktop PCs. I'll show you what I mean. So, gigabyte.com/support/utility/desktop-PC. And this is the page. You can see it's the desktop PC from the drop downs. And there's 96 items. It took me to page 6 out of 11 to finally find, if you scroll down, Windows USB installation tool. Alright. And since I live in China, I clicked on China and etc. I downloaded it and I unzipped the download and the unzipped file was Windows Image Tool folder. And this is what it contains. I double clicked Windows Image Tool and it gave me this pop-up. I selected you just leave this how it is, the source path. For the destination, you have to click the drop down and select the drive letter of your bootable USB Windows 7 USB drive. Now, in order to create the bootable Windows 7 that will actually work with UEFI BIOS type, which is the new BIOS type, it's not even really BIOS, it's UEFI, but people call it BIOS informally. It's a different modern type of BIOS. In order to work with that, you had to download Rufus, which is here, and you open up Rufus, okay, but no, I'm doing this out of order. I just showed you how I'm adding the USB installation tool to my already bootloadable Windows 7 ISO. Now I'm showing you how I made the Windows 7 ISO. Okay, so Windows 7 ISO, you have to have a Windows 7 ISO, and then you have to download Rufus, and you have to have a USB. Okay, and you select your USB device here. You set GPT partition scheme for UEFI. File system, you have to select FAT32. Leave that the same as it is. Ignore that. Ignore all these. They're already default selections. Fine. You click on right here to select an image, and you need to select your ISO image for your Windows 7 ISO, which you had to have obtained first before doing this. Okay, once you click on this, you select the ISO image, and then you click Start, and it will then create a bootable UEFI compatible GPT partition compatible copy of Windows 7 on your USB device. But this will not, in most cases, actually be able to install Windows on UEFI motherboard because Windows 7 doesn't acknowledge USB 3.0. So if the motherboard has USB 3.0 on it, like mine did, you will get a pop-up that says a required device driver is missing for a DVD/CD-ROM drive. Please install that driver. And that's an error pop-up that actually is just Windows 7 not knowing what it's looking at, so it assumes it's a missing DVD/CD-ROM driver that's missing, but it's not a CD/DVD driver that's missing. It's in fact the driver for USB 3.0, but USB 3.0 wasn't even out when Windows 7 was made, so Windows 7 gives you an inaccurate pop-up window. So in order to solve that pop-up from happening, you have to install USB drivers onto your Windows 7 USB bootable thumb drive that already has Windows 7 on it. And So in order to do that, like I said before, you have to download Windows USB installation tool from your motherboard's utility downloads website. Oh my gosh. Failed to add drivers to an offline Windows image. Okay. Did not see that coming. Okay, normally it wouldn't say that. Alright, so now I need a fix for the fix, because the fix for the fix for the fix didn't work. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, just kill me. Kill me. Alright, so plan B, we're now downloading, or not, we're now using instead Windows 7 USB/DVD download tool setup. Windows 7 USB/DVD download tool. Yeah, we're just gonna run that and see what that does. So yeah. I mean, ideally this thing is going to help me install USB 3.0 drivers to my Windows 7 ISO or my Windows 7 bootable USB drive, either way. Okay. So now I'm going the route of using Windows 7 USB 3.0 Creator version 3, Windows 7 admin. And I got that from here. Okay. Windows 7 3.0 USB 3.0 Creator Utility available downloads. I clicked on this one right here. Alright, so after I did that, it gave me this zip file, and I extracted that to here, and now I'm looking at the README PDF, which is right here. And here we are with the README PDF. Okay. So it just said just to run this, browse to your USB that has your bootloadable Windows 7 copy on it. Click OK. Click Create Image. And there we go. So this little guy just went onto my USB. It detected it was a 64-bit Windows 7 image on it that was already unpacked and installed on it properly using Rufus. It's creating mount directory, determining number of images. It determined that there is only one image, so one copy of Windows 7. And it's now mounting itself. Now, when I say it's mounting itself, it's mounting a hotfix directly nested within the Windows 7 image that will give Windows 7 USB 3.0 driver support so that it won't complain and give you a pop-up indicating that you are missing drivers during the Windows installation process. And that particular pop-up just happens to be you are missing required drivers for CD/DVD-ROM drive. That's what the pop-up says, something like that. I have a copy of Windows 7, and it's already been properly mounted to my USB thumb drive using a utility called Rufus, which sets up your USB thumb drive to be UEFI compatible, and uses FAT32 and uses GPT. Is it GPT? It's a long process. It's just still saying things like adding USB 3.0 drivers to install .wim image 1, unmounting and committing install WIM image 1. I hope that this utility will successfully install USB 3.0 drivers to my image, because my Windows image tool, which I downloaded from the Gigabyte website, Gigabyte's the company that made my motherboard, that tool did not successfully install the hotfix for whatever reason. So, go figure, right? Epic fail. And when you're already trying to fix a problem and your hotfix utility tool fails, come on, man. So what do I need to do? Hotfix the hotfix utility tool to make it work, so that I can hotfix the hotfix of the hotfix of the hotfix. This is hotfix inception, and I won't stand for it. So I'm now using my second hotfix tool, hoping that it will work. I'm gonna watch Matilda while I wait. I didn't ruin anything. I tell you what, buy a new computer and try to use a 10-year-old copy of Windows 7 you have laying around. Put that on a USB boot drive, and let's see you get through it. I don't think you'll be able to. You'd need to do all the stuff I'm doing. Windows 10 sucks. You know why? Because it changes the whole interface. I don't want to learn a new interface. I've been using Windows 7 for a decade. Why should I learn to use a stupid new Windows interface? Who cares? I told you I've been using Windows 7 since I made the switch, and I want to continue to use it until I die. I don't care if they come out with Windows 10,000. I'm still going to be using Windows 7, because why should I have to change just because these idiots over at Microsoft think we need a later version? Who cares? Let me use Windows 7 for my life. I don't need to constantly change my UI to some fancy new design. Who cares about your new design? I know where everything's at on Windows 7. I know where to click. I'm used to it. I can do it with my eyes closed. Why should I have to learn a whole new interface? That just slows me down. Computers are for work. I don't need to be slowed down. Windows 10 does not look the same. It's completely different. Can't find anything on there. I'd say it'd be at least another 10 years before Windows 7 stops being supported. Okay, update finished. Okay, it says update finished, guys. Here's proof. Update finished. So the Windows 7 USB 3.0 image creator has successfully hotfixed my Windows 7 image on my bootable Windows 7 USB to have now USB 3.0 support. So now when I go to install Windows on my new PC, it will work instead of not working. So I'm going to X out that utility. I'm going to Minimize that folder. Alright, I'm gonna try now. We'll see. This is the part where it messes up right now. Ah, it still did it! You son of a bitch, dude! It still did it! Oh my god! F my life! F my life! Holy crap! Oh, I'm done. I'm done for the day. I give up. USB bootable Windows 7, even with the USB 3.0 hotfix from Microsoft, failed. It failed. Okay? And the Windows image tool from the Gigabyte website also failed. It wouldn't even go onto it. So that puts us at creating a DVD mounted ISO now, which from what I heard on a video does not have these types of issues. It bypasses it. I don't know why, but that's what they said. I don't know if that will be true or not. Maybe the ISO I have is bad though. Maybe I need a new ISO, so that's something else I could try. I could download a fresh ISO. The ISO I have is an old one. Maybe a more recent Windows 7 ISO will not have those issues. I don't know. No, the point is when you try to install Windows 7, it's trying to think of where I read it, but okay. Its installation process gets that pop-up that you just saw. It complains because it doesn't have USB 3.0 support. It detects USB 3.0 on your system, and it thinks USB 3.0 is some kind of unsupported DVD drive. And so it asks you for the new DVD CD-ROM driver to support that hardware that it's not understanding what it is. But it has nothing to do with the DVD-ROM drive. That's just the error that pops up because it doesn't know what USB 3.0 is. And I tried 2 different attempts to apply the USB 3.0 driver hotfix onto my Windows 7 installation ISO, and both attempts failed. The hotfix utilities failed me. That could mean that my ISO was no good, and so the hotfix installed the files in the wrong places, or something weird like that. I don't know. Or maybe it doesn't work with my UEFI firmware version, which I find unlikely. I don't know, but I did hear on a video that if you burn your bootloadable Windows 7 onto a DVD, that these issues don't happen. That pop-up will never happen. Setting BIOS settings to disable USB 3.0 on startup, that's not even available in the BIOS settings. setting USB to give legacy support is on by default. It's not a BIOS problem. This is a problem with Windows 7 searching through your hardware and seeing something it doesn't have an explanation for, and it doesn't have drivers for, and it doesn't like it, and it will always bring a pop-up complaining about it. And you can see that right here. Installing Windows 7 from USB drives onto USB 3.0 computers. USB 7 installation media does not include native driver support for USB. So during installation, when you go to the screen to select your preferred language, a keyboard or mouse connected USB 3.0 port does not respond. Okay, that's not what actually happens. It has nothing to do with responsiveness of your keyboard. It has to do with when you enter the portion of the installation process where it asks to select the preferred language. That's when Windows 7 installation media scans the hardware and detects USB 3.0, which it doesn't know what it is, and then it shows the pop-up. The dreaded, a required driver for DVD/CD-ROM is missing. And it's at that point that you can no longer proceed with the installation. You don't even get to the page where you get to set custom advanced and then do your hard drive partitioning and stuff like that. You don't even get that far. It has USBs, 4 on the top and then a couple on the bottom of the back panel. I've tried the top and bottom ones. It didn't make a difference. Well, I didn't try them both since running this hotfix. Maybe that would make a difference. Let's see. I don't have Windows 10 installed media though. I'd have to download that. That's a whole nother project for a whole nother day. The fact that they said that this error would never occur if you're installing from a DVD, that'd be way faster. I already have Windows 7 ISO. I could just put that on a DVD and we're golden. So anyways, I've streamed for 11.5 hours and I have barely eaten today. I have all my meals to go still. Or a lot of meals to go. I'm delirious with being exhausted. I was supposed to work on my CNC machine today, but I never got to it because I could never get all these software problems fixed and get this stupid new computer going. I insist on using Windows 7. I will not ever use Windows 10 or 8. Unless if my hand is truly forced and there's no other way. Once again now, day 3. Tomorrow will be day 3. I have to, who knows, put in another 6 hours into this, and then again and again and again. Until the day comes that I'm successfully able to say that my new PC has been built and it's ready to go and I can migrate everything onto that and then I'll have a new PC. Whatever it takes. I was supposed to work on the CNC machine today, but that didn't happen. I'm not going to work on the CNC machine until I get this stupid computer working. And these big troubleshooting fests, reading all this stuff, downloading all this stuff, there's really no shortcuts. You have to just figure it out. And it's like solving a big puzzle. And it requires intense concentration and a lot of patience, a lot of research, and a lot of creativity and trial and error. A great UI is a UI that's easy to navigate and intuitive. Even if Windows 10 has a more intuitive or easier to navigate UI, you have to learn a new UI. There are thousands of options involved in any operating system. You have to learn where all of them are. So even if it's more intuitive for an uninitiated person to learn and get used to it and find everything over time, it's not going to be as intuitive as a UI that a user has already used for 10 years and knows where everything is. That's always going to be better, even if it is less intuitive to a newly initiated person. You can't argue that. So that makes Windows 7 positively a better UI for somebody that's been using it for 10 years. And if you argue against that, you're an idiot. You're not worth talking to. Alright, I just knocked out a couple of them. Now we're back to switching computers. I tried installing on a USB 2.0 port. It didn't make a difference. I'm going to go in order through all these different troubleshooting steps. So try it from USB 2.0 port. Okay. Enter BIOS. Choose Auto for USB 3.0 instead of Enable, which makes 3.0 act like 2.0. I happen to know that that is not in my BIOS from past explorations into BIOS. Enter BIOS and set BIOS to H or XHCI mode. Okay, we'll do that one next. I think I saw that setting somewhere in there. Okay. Okay, I just set H A or X HCI mode to enable, which they said could work. Oh man. That just made the keyboard not work at all. Seems like it disabled all USB connectivity. Okay. That one is not good. What the hell? My computer's broke now. What'd I do? Alright, I disabled compatibility mode, and I think that just made the BIOS no longer support my video card, which means the monitor's not coming on. So that backfired. Clear CMOS is right above F panel. Alright, so we have to research how to clear the CMOS. Okay, so we have to turn off the computer and then use a screwdriver to clear the CMOS. That didn't work. What? It worked. It worked. It just took a long time. I guess the CMOS had to like load up its values again. Oh man, that's some advanced troubleshooting right there, boys. Okay, we're back in action, Jack. Okay. That's all I needed. Let me just run another. Okay, so I did all of the things I could do on the troubleshooting list of things to try. As it pertains to things I can do with my existing setup. Now I have to switch computers and get to the more difficult, time-consuming list of things I can try, which all happen on my main computer. Okay. I didn't ruin it! You know what would ruin it though? Windows 10. Now that would ruin it. As long as I'm still in the fight to successfully install Windows 7 on a new machine, then I have not lost the war. I've gone through over 30 troubleshooting attempts, maybe more. I'm just getting started. I would more than happily spend the rest of my life attempting to install Windows 7 on this computer. The rest of my life, that's okay. It's gonna happen, boys. The robot's canceled. Every other project's canceled until this happens. So that might mean that my life's work will be just trying to get Windows 7 on this computer. That will be the end of me. Maybe 50 years of this. That's the commitment. Not making a souffle, it's just baked eggs. Same thing as boiled eggs, really. Alright guys, it worked just going based on my old DVD. The old DVD did not work before with that had my copy of Windows 7 on it because at that time I was using firmware version 1 for the Gigabyte 370p D3 motherboard, and firmware version 1 would not acknowledge anything, and it was all bugged out, and it could have been bugged out based on any number of issues such as incompatibility with my video card. It was really weird. It didn't even list my SSD or my USB stick as bootable devices in the bootable devices menu list. It just had empty boxes for every item. So early on in the troubleshooting, I unplugged my CD player or CD DVD player just out of frustration, trying to figure out what kind of bare bones setup I can establish to try to rule out possible bugginess. And ever since I did that, I was sticking with bootable USB thumb drive as my installation method. And nothing worked with that. I tried over 33 different hotfixes. I tried Xing out the installation windows, plugging the USB into a different port. I tried plugging the USB into USB 2.0 ports, 3.0 ports. I tried installing USB 3.0 drivers from the Windows website as a slipstream into the Windows 7 ISO on the USB, the auto booting ISO. I tried installing the Gigabyte version of USB 3.0 drivers, slipstreaming into the ISO. That didn't work. In fact, that failed. It said failure. I tried turning on XHCI mode enabled, which supposedly suspends USB 3.0 support during Windows bootloading. That failed. I tried turning off CSM mode. That failed. In fact, that made turning off compatibility like that, which is CSM, caused my motherboard to no longer register my video card, which is an older video card, which meant my monitor couldn't turn on. And my monitor does not have HDMI cable support. It's an older monitor. Actually, it's not that old of a monitor. It's just a crappy one. My mom bought it for me for like $40. It's just a backup monitor for when my monitor breaks, which it happens to be broken right now. So without the ability to plug in with HDMI and only having VGA, I have to use a video card because this particular motherboard does not have a VGA output for a standard monitor. So I screwed myself because I could no longer see anything because my video card was shut off at the hardware level by the BIOS. So I had to shut off the computer and stick a screwdriver against the jumper pins for a CMOS reset, which I've never done before, and it worked. When I turned it back on, that all the BIOS settings were back to default factory defaults, so that was amazing. So anyways, after running through just about every single possible thing you can do to try to make a USB stick work, and they all failed, and this is using a Gigabyte Z370p motherboard and a Intel Core i7 8700 3.2 gigahertz Coffee Lake processor. It's a 6-core. Would not work, but the minute I put in my DVD after having done the update to firmware version 3 of the motherboard, the minute I tried my old DVD with Windows 7 ISO on it. Boom. Worked perfectly. No more errors with missing CD, DVD drive, blah, blah, blah. That stuff is gone. So we did it, guys. We killed it. And incidentally, I was considering giving up right about when it finally worked. I'm literally downloading Windows 10 ISO right now. And I don't have to do that now. We're good. So I'm on top of the world. Guys, we did it, man. We've arrived. I'm a superstar. I don't believe it. Windows is installing right now as we speak. I'm afraid to jinx it. I'm afraid to jinx it. The installation is a little bit on the slow side, considering it's an SSD. Well, maybe not. It is 94% expanding with Windows files. But yeah, I'm expecting much faster performance than I've ever seen before. Because it's an SSD and because it's the best processor money can buy. And amazing RAM as well. But yeah, we're kicking butt now. 64-bit Windows, we're installing it. Windows 7. Windows 7, my old friend. Forget fancy Windows 10. Ugh. What a mess. Nobody's gonna congratulate me? I can see my chat on my phone. Wow. Windows is restarting. Beautiful. Oh, that scared the heck out of me. The monitor just went blank. And I believe that was because it was changing the screen resolution. Now everything's way tiny resolution. But I was like, oh my gosh. I'm so on edge right now, just expecting things to go wrong at this point. I've been through trauma. This whole experience is very traumatizing. I had to learn so much stuff. Everything from how to jump a computer, reset the CMOS with jumpers, to all kinds of new, how to use the new UEFI BIOS system, what UEFI even means. I mean, it was a great learning experience, I guess, but one that I did not sign up for and would rather not repeat. I still can't believe it. I can't believe this. Oh, oh, do you guys realize? This is life-changing. Means I get to do other things on my to-do list. I was prepared to have to be messing with this for days to come. Well, I had no choice, and I had read mention a couple times because I was reading the motherboard manual about using the jumper pins to reset the BIOS, and I was like, I don't see why anybody would ever need to do that. But I did see that as a troubleshooting step for, I don't know, I've just been reading so much stuff, I was bound to see weird stuff like that. Wow. Alright, I'll show you guys, here it is, recycling bin. It's got, so the motherboard installed me a desktop. I'm gonna turn it to classic theme though, but for right now, that's it. We're in, man. We are in. We did it. Windows is installed. That was fast, actually. Okay.